Your mistake, it's a valuable tool for growth and for life. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's better than to do nothing and learn nothing and not evolve. Your mistake is your greatest opportunity. And if somebody's making fun of you because you made a mistake, don't go down because of it. If you say, so what, to their face, if you say yes, so what, they are powerless. They are powerless. Yes, I messed up. Tomorrow it will be another day. Next year will be another year.
My mother used to always tell us, don't say you're humble, because you have to have something to be humble. My mother say you're grounded. You know, so for me, I'm grounded. I know that I'm not that deep, but I am one piece of a phenomenal puzzle. Believe, man, you know, it's all mental, and people don't get it. You know, everybody wants to say, okay, well, here go 10 steps to, okay, Lewis said do 8, E.T. said do 9. You know, this person says this to 12 steps, and everybody's trying to get the steps without the mentality. It's like, okay, maybe you don't need all 9, or maybe you don't need all 8, maybe you need 4, maybe you need 12. I don't know, but I think sometimes they see what we do and say, if I can duplicate that, just like exactly how he's done in the book, exactly how, and it's like, yo, you have a story. You know, you have a unique experience. And so your 12 are shaped by not just your world, but how your world has shaped your thinking. And I think that's the part they're missing. It's like, guys, you know, if it was easy, everybody could do it. If it was a cookie cutter, everybody would just follow it to the T. But there's a mindset. And when I looked at Serena, you know, when I look at the Michael Jordans of the world, Tom Brady, you know, when you look at Michael Phelps, like, it is a mentality. You know, on our new album, The Resolution, I talk about, I got that dog. And I'm not really referring to just this, you know, aggressiveness, but it is a mindset. I saw Belichick said something where, you know, they were like, how you feeling about the Super Bowl? He's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, we're 5 weeks behind. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, everybody else
for next year.
Everybody else is practicing, training, they lost, you know, and so they're trying to get ready. They're lifting weights, they're reading books, they're, you know, everybody that lost is studying. He's like, yo, what type of mind says we're 5 weeks behind
the
in
day
terms
after
of
the Super Bowl.
Right, and the day after the Super Bowl. So, but again, it's a mentality, and I think a lot of people are missing that mentality.
The lesson I want to teach you is that failure is exactly the reason I'm successful today. The more risk you take, the more failure you have. But the more risk you take, the luckier you get. And without luck, you won't be successful. Take more risk, embrace failure, stack failure on top of each other until you have success. And I promise you, if you do, you will.
For me, it was hitting rock bottom, you know, and so hopefully for them it's hitting rock bottom, or not hitting their goals and having this cycle of loss that they'll say, like a LeBron. You saw LeBron crying. That was because Cleveland had lost for so many years. Like, they had never had a championship. So he was just like, yo, we finally did it, you know, but it was year after year of losing that even when he left and won, he came back because he remembered the loss and said, yo, this is good, but this isn't what I set out to do. Like, I want to be a winner, and I want this town to know what it feels like to win. You know, so I think that's it. When you lose enough, or you hit rock bottom and you just say, like, enough is enough, just everything will snap and change, because you're saying, look, the way I've been doing it, it's not working. So I have to do something different. So I just think, man, you got to hit rock bottom.
If you're making mistakes, at least you're learning something. If you're not making many mistakes, there's no growth, there's no learning. What do you work on? If you're not taking chances out there, if you're not going for moves, what are you working on? How do you know what to improve? At least if you're taking a lot of chances, even if you lose, you're going to gain something from that, because now you know how to improve your technique. But don't let your mindset be the thing that holds you back. And for most people, most of the time, it's their mindset that holds them back. And the biggest mental mistake you make is not taking the bull by the horns. It's not getting mental training. It's not getting the mindset training on a regular basis, just like you will your strength training, just like you would your technique.
Son, this is a dangerous place. So I say to those individuals, yeah, you're right. You don't want to hit rock bottom, but you have to create your own mental rock bottom so that you don't hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy.
Hey, what's going on?
How do you recover when a risk doesn't go as planned?
Actually, I think recovery starts with reflection. So the first thing you have to do is ask yourself what went wrong. The second thing I believe you need to do is ask yourself what went right. Then you simply get your team together, discuss everything you learned, and adjust your strategy moving forward.
Like it. Because what makes Brady want to win a fifth? What makes Jordan
At 39.
At 39, what makes Jordan say, "Okay, I got 4"? Like, it's not even a new season. He said, we got to get the 5th one. What makes Serena get 23 and still going? Like, what makes Venus, who was sick and should have been gone, now she's 36 years old? What makes her fight to get to the Australian Open? And I'm telling you, it's not the money, the network. It's not, the vision board. It's, I believe, for those of us who are where we are, it's something within, and you can't go buy that. I can't give it to you. Lewis can't. Like, you've got to go within and find that and pull that stuff out. Yeah.
I failed in my mid-20s, late 20s, I failed. I think failure is part of being an entrepreneur. If you haven't failed, you haven't learned. You've got to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at everybody that I know, they've all failed.
So your main thing would be take risks and take big risks, but also the never giving up, resilience.
Well, that's part of my, if you read my quotes, I say, but when I say risk, you take a calculated risk. I think taking big risks is when you calculate the risk. And you've always got to work out, what's the worst scenario? How do I get out of this if things go wrong?
Have a plan B.
Yeah, always have a plan B. And I think that it's much easier today to be an entrepreneur than when I started.
Bro, it's different for every single person, right? Yeah. And I can say what I'm gonna say and it's gonna click with the people that it needs to click with. But whatever your goal is, no matter literally what it is, you could be going into any single field, whatever it is, just please do not give up on what literally makes you happy. Like, it doesn't matter what your parents say, it doesn't matter what your friends say. Obviously you can respect them, but bro, dead serious, like, whatever makes you happy, like, just go try and just go do. Like, keep saying yes and keep learning these different things. Just keep learning, keep failing, because it's not failure, you're learning. If you take it as a failure, it's gonna be a failure, so don't do that. Rewind, reevaluate, take some time, it might hurt sometimes, but just learn from it and implement the things that you learned into the next step, but keep going. Don't just stop. It gets hard. Give yourself time to heal, give your heart time to just calm down, meditate, do whatever you gotta do. Like, whatever you have to do, just do it. At the end of the day, like Nike, whatever you wanna do, just keep doing it and be consistent. Be calm to yourself, be nice to yourself. A lot of us are really mean to ourselves, so be nice. Your self-talk better be good to yourself, bro. For real. Lock in.
The other leadership lesson, I think, in terms of that is right up there in terms of the impact it's had on me and some of my clients, is that to build and sustain a high performance culture, you have to tolerate a certain level of failure. Yes. Innovation by its very nature is doing something that you haven't done before. Maybe someone has done it somewhere, but you haven't. And therefore you need to test the thesis, and a true test of a thesis, we don't know what the result will be. So sometimes it'll go the way you want it to go and sometimes it won't. As a consequence of that, there's a risk that you are going to create a culture that believes that there are no consequences of failure. And that's different. Like that, if you're going to fail fast. Yes. Move on quickly. Tolerate failure when it's in the interests of proving or disproving a thesis. Do not tolerate failure beyond that. And as a byproduct of that, as a leader, you won't always be liked, but you should be respected in the sense that if you do your job properly, respect is a byproduct of that.
When you are young, you have so much opportunity because you have enough time to make mistake. But many times people spend 15, 20 years being careful of not making any mistake, that they get so old that one mistake wipes them out. So when you are young, that's the time to experiment. If you miss it, you start afresh. So if at the age of 18, 19, 20, you hear that it's crypto, you do crypto, the thing kryptonize your life. You say, this is not the way. They say it's forex, you do it, it mess you up. They say this is not the way. They say it's network marketing, multi-level, by the time you do 3, 4 things that you are confused about, you finally discover what works for you, and you sit down there and then you can build. But if you don't take risks, you're going to end up finding out that life will pass you by. And everything about life is a risk. So I tell people, find out what you want to do and start early and give it all it takes.
I always like this idea of trying to fail.
What do you mean?
Just think about that. Try to make a bad painting. Try to act badly. Try to be lousy in that scene. It's interesting. It kind of puts the idea of striving for perfection, does something. You've got to find ways to let you not worry and be free, you know? That's all. Once again, we're talking triggers, you know? If you're content to fail, or you accept it somewhere, and I only mention this because you talk about being hard on yourself, because the idea of being hard on yourself is kicking yourself for not doing better, not doing better, not doing better. So you got to deal with this striving impulse, which can hurt you, you know? You need enough to get you in movement and get you trying things, but you don't need so much that it suffocates you, that you're uptight. So I'm just saying, sometimes I flirt with ideas of fucking things up or not being hard on myself, or, you know. Well, also you put yourself in situations where you can't control things. And that's why, you know, people say, that's so risky. You know, it's only risky if it's not risky, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only risky if it's not risky, meaning...
If it's a real risk, you're trying something.
Right.
Something will happen. Something will be learned.
How good. How cool is William Dafoe, the Green Goblin? He's not so bad after all. Look, at its core, in terms of trying to fail, I think he's talking about learning to fail and the healing powers and the lessons and the growth that comes with failure. When he says trying to find ways to not worry and be free, he's talking about finding ways to get out of the fear state where worry lives and get into the play state where freedom lives, right? Freedom to experiment, to make mistakes, to get it wrong. And on perfectionism, I agree. If you care more what others think about what you're doing, more so than what you think about what you're doing, that fear of other people's opinions causes the perfectionism, right? Trying to be this perfect version of what you think others expect of you, and you lose your authenticity, you lose your competitive advantage, right? Because there's literally only one you. But if we just accept that failure will happen and accept that we're imperfect, it gives us permission to experiment. So in the way he says, flirting with the idea of fucking things up and not being so hard on himself gives him permission to accept uncontrollables, embrace uncertainty, and encourages play, encourages curiosity and spontaneity and imagination and creativity. And these kind of things gives us permission to take risks, to experiment, to make mistakes, to fall down, to get it wrong, and know that's okay. It's literally part of the process. So when he says the biggest risk is not doing that and living this safe, perfect life where there's no risks, I think he also means there's no learning and growth there. Hence, within context, it's only risky when it's not risky. We often say you're either winning or you're learning. But here's the thing, if there's a lesson in the learning, if there's growth there, there's opportunity there, then that's technically a win. So in that way, you're always winning, right? Even when you're making mistakes, because there's a lesson there and there's a growth there. And I'll say this till I kick, your greatest growth comes from your darkest times. Your greatest learnings in life come from these mistakes. So the way you view that is everything in terms of our perspective, right? And that's the opportunity. And I think that's what Will Dafoe is trying to tell us. As Carissa Moore, the surfer, once said, my comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. The growth lies on the other side of our comfort zone. So where applicable, take risks, make mistakes, and see what lies on the other side.